As a realtor, I'm getting a lot of the same common objections from different buyers and different sellers. So if you're a realtor struggling in this market, your business is not doing as well as it was last year. At the end of the day, the key at this point is about your skill in having conversations, because the media is going to be blasting people all the time why the world is ending, why real estate is a terrible investment, why you should just hold your money in cash and you should just do nothing. The reality is people ultimately still need to make their moves. Now, things may have been delayed, but without a doubt, this is a great opportunity, because if you're able to get them across the initial hurdle of wanting to buy the home, the benefit right now is the competition for buying and selling is actually the most pleasant there can be. So if I was a buyer and I said, look, I have the capital, I have the income, I plan to live here for a couple of years, this is a much better experience than what we had a year ago when things were absolutely on a frenzy and you had to make a decision within a minute of you seeing the house. So at the end of the day, we don't control the market, but it's important to understand the consumer and understand fear-based objections, which is a majority of what things are. There are this risk of the unknown. So let's talk about some of the most common ones and how a good realtor will be having these kind of conversations today. All right, the most common one, the market is too uncertain. We're going to wait. So the question you should be asking them is, what is their reason to even look at homes to begin with? What is their time horizon? Do they plan to stay here, or do they plan to move within a year? Get them to understand that even though rates are what they are, home values typically have increased over time. So they may be in a better situation in 5 years despite waiting. But at the same time, the key is, what is their reason for buying to begin with? If it's from not paying rents, whether it's from they're tired of their landlord, whether it's they feel like their money is being wasted, those things have not fundamentally changed. So you do have to drill down into that. And most of these themes are going to be the same way. Let's look at the next one. Interest rates are too high. Same thing. What is their reason to look at homes to begin with? It's not like because interest rates are higher, it means you can't buy a home all of a sudden. It's a factor of what you can buy up to. And fortunately, a lot of home prices have declined across the country, so it has been more beneficial to be able to be balanced out. At the same time, if they buy a house now, there are plenty of people that are still buying today. They could always just buy it and then they could always refinance later. So it's important to then understand your options today. Just because you have higher rates does not mean all of a sudden you can't buy a home. Even though the rates have doubled from the beginning of the year, it doesn't mean their budget has cut in half. The additional side of it is understanding the individual situation, but then also giving them the truth. What is actually happening? What are the opportunities there are to be had? The other thing that I would suggest is, if you haven't, you should be talking to really every lender, because every lender has different strengths and weaknesses right now as they compete for business. So for example, in the Bay Area, Wells Fargo has still been doing very well when it comes to very large jumbo rates. Now they do require 20% plus, but even as the recording today, you're still able to get about 1.5% lower than what you are seeing publicly on the 30-year fixed. At the same time, you may be looking at lower down options, right? Because there's less competition, FHA loans, VA loans, 5% money down, 10% money down. Those options are very popular to win because you actually have the ability to. So if they don't have as much money saved up, they can use a lower money down option and still have the opportunity to win. Next, we're gonna talk a little bit on the seller side, right? What if they say we wanna interview other agents? You can respond, you always wanna relate to them. I totally understand your perspective. Thank you for sharing. May I ask why you want to interview other agents? It's important to understand, like, why was this important to them? Was it a promise to them? Was it to the other agent? Was it a promise to themselves? You can share, I understand the value of keeping your word, but let me ask you this. Do you like the plan that I presented to you? Do you think it will work well? Great. Do you want to go over anything else before we get started on the paperwork? So why do we ask these kind of questions? The question is it the risk of unknown? Or is it the risk of the confidence aspect that they want to have? Last but not least, this works kind of on both ends of buyers and sellers. Will you give up some of your commission? I totally hear you and understand your perspective. Now, the question I asked you, Mr. Buyer and Seller, would you rather have somebody who's ready to agree with that and cut the commission on day 0 before you guys have actually even done anything? Or are you looking for somebody that is going to help you get the best price for your home and work hard because we are financially aligned? How would that agent go to bat for you at the bargaining table discussions on the sale of your home if they can't even compete for their own earnings right now? Do you agree that it's not only fair for me, but in your benefit to pay this 2.5%? So this is the way to frame it, right? Is to get doubt into the other side, because it is. But for someone to give that up from day zero, that just shows a little bit of their character. These are the most common objections that we're getting in this fear-based market. Hang in there, practice these scripts, practice the understanding of the logistics of these things, and be sure to subscribe to this channel. And if you want to go over any conversations about how my team can help you from a brokerage level or on a team level, my contact details are below, and I'd love to have a strategy call with you. Talk soon.